Rosemary hair oil. It was annoyingly viral for such a long time. And Mielle Organics were the main kind of brand to go viral, right? It was their Rosemary Mint scalp and hair oil. And this was a few years ago, really. If you opened up social media, you couldn't help but see someone talking about this fucking hair oil and how it was amazing for hair growth and their hair growth plans with this oil, right? But less than 2 years later, the very same product went viral again. This time because it was apparently making people's hair fall out in clumps. So how did things change so quickly, going from everybody loving it and it growing their hair to it making their hair fall out and everyone hating it? Oh, got headphones in. Today, I want to discuss what led to Mielle's sudden downfall and whether or not the lawsuit that they're currently facing because of these hair loss claims could potentially spell the end of the brand. In case you haven't heard of Mielle Organics, they're a natural hair care brand which was founded in 2014 by Monique Rodriguez. It all started in 2013 when Rodriguez began creating her own natural hair care products in her kitchen. That's always how these natural brands start, isn't it? They were just whipping up something in their kitchen, apparently experimenting with things like olive oil and mayonnaise, as well as other ingredients, trying to find a more natural way to look after her hair. So then she started posting her natural concoctions, as well as styling tips and tutorials for textured hair on social media. Her advice actually resonated with a lot of people, and she quickly realized that there was a pretty big community online who were looking for natural hair care solutions. And really encouraged by this positive feedback and engagement that she was getting, Rodriguez soon decided to launch her own hair care brand focused on looking after textured hair. She named it Mielle Organics and initially launched with just 100 bottles of her mint almond oil, which was designed to reduce hair breakage and shedding. The mint almond oil was actually a really big success, selling out on the first day, and Mielle Organics went on to quickly gain popularity over the next few years for its natural, science-backed products designed for textured hair. Now, by the end of 2018, just 4 years after the brand had launched, Mielle had grown from Monique Rodriguez's kitchen into a multi-million-dollar company that was sold in over 15,000 major retail locations. Sorry, I got itchy foot. And their annual sales in 2018 were estimated to be around $15 million. Not bad for starting in the kitchen with some mayonnaise, right? And just 2 years later, their annual revenue had more than doubled to $40 million, and the brand was now available in over 100,000 retail locations, including Sally's, Ulta, Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens. She was doing really fucking well. This was incredible growth for an independent hair care brand, and many attribute Mielle's early success to the strong community engagement, clever retail partnerships, and commitment to providing effective natural hair care solutions. All of this had helped the brand to build a strong connection and sense of trust with their customers. But unfortunately for them, it wouldn't be long before major controversies started with some of the brands and specifically the founder's own actions, leading to a significant loss of trust for Mielle. Let's talk about the Linda Lynn drama. So the first controversy came after Mielle released their rice water collection in 2020, and the launch of the new line went as expected. At first, the products were generally well received, with so many people loving the benefits that they saw after using the products, mainly the moisture and strength of their hair. But as with any product, there were some customers who had negative experiences and were critical of the products. This is where things started to go downhill. Shortly after the launch of the rice water collection, YouTuber Linda Lynn released a video reviewing the products, and she really wasn't a fan. Now, most people seem to agree that Linda Lynn's review wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't overly rude or offensive. She just had a negative experience with the products, and she was clear about that. That's how you review products, right? She did also point out some of the positives in the products and offered constructive criticism about how the products should be marketed. That's how you review products, right? That's how you should review products. So people were surprised when Monique Rodriguez chose to write a response directly in the comments section of the video, as well as arguing with other people in the comments. Her responses came across to many as defensive and very unprofessional, just not the kind of behavior you'd expect from the founder and CEO of such a popular company. Rodriguez later deleted her comments, which is when you know they've made a mistake, realizing that the majority of people weren't on her side in this and were instead accusing her of acting unprofessionally. Which is, you don't go to somebody's video or comment section or whatever, write out a shitty comment just because they don't like your products. I mean, I don't like a lot of products and usually the brands write me a really nice email, which is kind of strange, but that's what professionals do. They're like, thanks for your feedback. You know, whatever. But although it definitely should have been, this wasn't the end of it. Things got even worse shortly after when Monique's husband, Melvin Rodriguez, decided to get involved too. Melvin, who is a co-founder and COO of Mielle Organics, allegedly decided it was appropriate to go through Linda's previous order details, find her phone number, and call her at night to harass her and apparently quote Bible verses to her. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? That is so weird. That is like psychotic behavior. Overall, it was seen as incredibly unprofessional, invasive, and outright bizarre behavior from both Monique and Melvin, and unsurprisingly, it led to a wave of backlash against them and Mielle. It also led to some people coming out and accusing the brand of bullying other influencers in the past when they gave negative reviews. So apparently this was a bit of a habit for them. It had just never blown up to this extent before. Although this controversy led to a lot of former fans of Mielle to denounce the brand and stop buying their products, it wasn't enough to stop Mielle's steady growth. But hang on, more controversies are on the way, each chipping away at the brand's credibility until fans were ready to turn on Mielle altogether in a pretty major way. After the Linda Lynn controversy had faded into the background, things for Mielle were fine for a while actually. The brand had several viral moments on TikTok and other social media platforms, helping them to continue growing rapidly. But in 2022, fans began noticing a shift in Mielle's marketing and branding. When the brand first launched, it did kind of seem like the brand was trying to provide products specifically targeted and made, for Black women with textured hair, a group of consumers who for a very long time, and still to this day, have been underserved in the beauty industry. The brand was essentially built on serving this community. So when Mielle started partnering with influencers who weren't Black and didn't have any history in the natural hair space, many of Mielle's original fans viewed this as a sign that the brand was pandering to a broader audience, with many worried that this would come at the expense of Mielle's original, predominantly Black customer base. This concern reached its peak in December of 2020 when Alex Earl, a white TikTok influencer, featured Mielle's Rosemary Mint scalp and hair strengthening oil in her beauty routine. This video went viral. It's the one that started it all for this viral fucking rosemary oil and triggered a massive spike in sales, causing the product to sell out in a lot of places. And although these increased sales were great for the brand, it led to a widespread backlash from their longtime customers who were left frustrated because they were unable to get a hold of the products that they come to rely on. Many customers who had been supporting Mielle for years were worried that these products, which had been formulated specifically to address the needs of Black hair, were being co-opted essentially by people who didn't share the same challenges when it came to hair care and who already had a much wider range of products to choose from. They were also worried that if the products became popular with a predominantly white audience, then the products might have to be reformulated or diluted to better suit the needs of white people's hair. Many pointed out that they'd already seen this happen with other Black founded brands which found popularity with a white audience, like Carol's Daughter and Shea Moisture, and they didn't want to see that happen to Mielle too. And the controversies just kept growing from there. Just a few weeks after facing this backlash from their longtime customers, Monique and Melvin Rodriguez decided to sell Mielle Organics to Procter Gamble. This move understandably increased fears that Mielle would lose its identity and shift focus to a much broader audience, possibly neglecting the predominantly Black customer base which had made the brand what it is to that day. The announcement also led to widespread debate online about losing Black-owned brands to corporate interests, and whether or not that brands that did sell to major corporations could still be trusted to prioritize Black consumers. I'm gonna say, judging by history and how inherently racist the beauty world is, I'm gonna say no, they can't be trusted because they've not shown to do anything even to this day. In response to this, Monique Rodriguez came out and reassured fans that there were no plans to change the formulations or the ingredients used of the rosemary mint oil, which had become so popular, and that Mielle remained committed to the black hair care community. She said, "The community is the foundation of Mielle. I can assure you that at Mielle, we have no plans to change any of our formulas, and joining P&G means all of our loyal customers can truly expect the same high quality products tomorrow that are on the shelves today." But unsurprisingly, and not so unsurprisingly, not everyone was convinced by this. And although this was all pretty bad for the brand's reputation, somehow things were about to get even worse for Mielle. For years, there had been an odd review here and there from customers claiming that they'd experienced hair loss after using Mielle's products. Nothing too out of the ordinary for a hair care brand, right? But these claims had never been taken too seriously and hadn't been talked about too much online. That all changed, however, in September of 2024, when Denisha Monek, a TikTok influencer, posted a video alleging that Mielle's products caused her hair to fall out in clumps. Specifically, she said that she used Mielle's rosemary mint shampoo, conditioner, and hair growth oil, and that as well as hair loss, she also experienced scalp irritation and inflammation. And the video ends up going viral, right? And led to a flood of consumers claiming they have had the same experience and the same issues with Mielle products, with some accusing the brand of quietly changing the formula behind the scenes after the Procter Gamble takeover, saying that they'd never experienced any issues with Mielle's products before the takeover. Another TikToker named Bethany shared her own video a few days later saying that she was also a victim of Mielle's hair products, and the video went on to get 6 million views. Like Denisha Monek, Bethany had also been using Mielle's rosemary mint strengthening oil and shampoo. Mielle was once again going viral on TikTok, but this time for all the wrong reasons. And just like before, the founder's response to the criticism only led to more outrage from consumers. A week after Denisha's video opened the floodgates of criticism, Monique Rodriguez responded with a video reiterating that the formulation of the products had not changed and that they were safe. She said, "Our products are created with healthy ingredients and they are formulated to deliver safe and effective results. If you have any doubts, I encourage you to explore our labels. From 2019 to 2024, you will see that there have been no formula changes." That was fine. That's the kind of response you expect from a CEO of a major brand, right? But weeks later, seeing that the criticism of the brand still hadn't gone away, Monique decided to post another video on her Instagram addressing the controversy. In it, she claims that the influencer who started all this criticism against Mielle had been paid by one of their competitors to spread misinformation about the brand. She didn't specify who this creator was, but internet sleuths quickly decided that she was talking about Denisha Monek. CEOs, shut the fuck up. When it comes to controversies, don't talk. Let your team do that for you, because you say stupid shit like this, right? It does damage to your brand. Let your publicity team, marketing, whoever, do the talking for you, right? Because what the fuck was that? But no matter what she said, it wasn't enough to stop the backlash. Again, a lot of people saw her video as unprofessional and a little bizarre again, just like some of her and her husband's previous behavior had been. And others pointed out that even if it was true, it didn't explain why so many other people were making the same claims. Either way, like whatever's going on, Monique's claims did a little to stop the controversy. Social media was full of people claiming that they'd used Mielle products and experienced irritation, burning, and hair loss. And then came the videos of people literally throwing away their Mielle products, vowing to never use them again. Now, as bad as all this controversy was, things got even worse for Mielle in November of 2024 when a lawsuit was filed against the brand. Georgina Gomes filed a lawsuit against both Mielle Organics and their parent company Procter Gamble, claiming that Mielle's rosemary mint scalp and strengthening oil may cause hair loss, and that the two companies named failed to disclose this risk to consumers. The lawsuit also claimed that P&G continued to distribute and market the hair oil after acquiring Mielle without conducting proper testing. It states that defendants made no reasonable effort to test the product to ensure that the product would not cause hair loss. It goes on to claim the usual claims in these lawsuits that customers wouldn't have purchased a product had they been made aware of the risk. We see this kind of thing in a lot of lawsuits when it comes to like irritation from skincare as well. Shortly after Gomes' lawsuit was filed, two other women, Stephanie Williams and Krista Gillette, filed their own lawsuits against Mielle Organics and Procter Gamble, though all three women later decided to dismiss their individual lawsuits and file a multi-plaintiff class action lawsuit together in December of 2024. The combined lawsuit is pretty much the same as the original one, with the women claiming that Mielle and P&G didn't just fail to warn people about the possible side effects, such as hair loss, but they also never properly tested the products before releasing them. Though it's also worth noting that the main accusations made are less about the claims that Mielle's products cause hair loss and more focused on the claim that Mielle failed to disclose the possible risk of hair loss in the products and marketing and labeling. So less about the fact that it actually caused it and more about the fact that they didn't disclaim it, if you know what I mean. Basically, the lawsuit was accusing Mielle and Procter Gamble of fraud, negligence, and unjust enrichment. And they're asking for compensation for damages, restitution, and injunctive relief. If successful, this would mean that they'd get the full refunds as well as damages, and that Mielle would not be allowed to continue selling the products without disclosing the possible risks. They're also pushing for this to be a nationwide class action, meaning anyone who bought the Rosemary Mint products could be included if it moves forward. The lawsuit is still in its early stages, but if this does go anywhere, it could be a huge problem and loss for Mielle. Now, whether or not the plaintiffs will actually be successful with the lawsuit is definitely debatable. Hair loss lawsuits are a touchy subject at the moment, and I know a lot of brand founders who completely refuse to make hair care products because of how fickle these claims can be. Hair loss is a very traumatic thing, and because of that, it can sometimes lead to an emotional response, like filing a lawsuit, regardless of where it can actually be proven that a certain product caused it. In most hair loss related lawsuits, there is no direct, scientifically verified link between the product and hair loss. The formulas often pass safety testing, and dermatologists will tell you that very few topical hair products, outside something harsh like bleach or relaxers, can cause widespread hair loss on their own. Even if there are a lot of consumers saying the same thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're right about it. If a product really did cause hair loss on this large scale, dermatologists, trichologists, and toxicologists would see a clear pattern and would be able to identify the cause. But that usually doesn't happen in these cases. Now, I'm not saying that this case doesn't have any merit, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that it could be very, very difficult to win this type of case in court, and even harder to get the defendant to admit to what they did if they did anything wrong. Just think of the When Hair Care lawsuit years ago. It had thousands of complaints and settled for $26 million, but Wen still didn't admit to any wrongdoing. In this particular case, some experts are saying it's unlikely that Mielle is solely responsible for the widespread hair loss we've seen reported on social media. In a Marie Claire article on the controversy, Robert Finney, a board-certified dermatologist, said that no specific ingredient should cause clumps of hair to fall out. And Alexandra Ariage, a hair care expert and chemist, said things like genetics, stress, and medical conditions can play a role, so evaluating all possibilities is essential before attributing them solely to the products. But others are saying that Mielle's products might actually be responsible for hair loss, but others are saying that Mielle might actually be responsible for the hair loss that so many people are experiencing, but maybe not for the reasons that you think. They're not saying that there's any one terrible or dangerous ingredient that's causing this, but it could be down to something as simple and commonplace as essential oils. Dr. Adele, a popular dermatologist on TikTok, had this to say when the controversy first hit.
I have seen so many videos of people claiming to lose hair after using the Mielle products. Okay, this product is full of essential oils. So it's got rosemary oil, of course. It has got menthol, which is an irritant. It's got peppermint oil, tea tree leaf oil, a lavender oil. Essential oils are honestly the worst culprit for contact allergies.
And others have supported this theory as well. In an Allure article, Hadley King, another board-certified dermatologist, said that essential oils are a common cause of allergic contact dermatitis, so use should be limited, particularly for those who have been sensitized, who have sensitive skin, and those who have a history of eczema. If the hair loss is caused by customers developing sensitivity or allergy to certain essential oils in Mielle's products, then that can make this all a little bit tricky. This is the issue with natural skincare products, hair care products, cosmetics in general. They want to be natural to avoid harsh chemicals, nasty toxins, and then they shove in a shitload of essential oils, which is one of the largest known irritants in the cosmetics world. Why go through all that effort to make something that's supposedly safe? Using that trigger word, it's safe, then put something like essential oils in. These can also be photosensitizing, irritating. It's a stupid move to put essential oils in anything. Whatever your thoughts are on whether or not Mielle is at fault here, and if essential oils are to blame or if it's something else, it's still definitely not a good look for the brand, right? Even if this hair loss lawsuit doesn't go anywhere in the end, Mielle's image has taken a major hit, and I'm personally just fucking glad I don't have to see them every 2 seconds on TikTok. An awful lot of consumers have completely lost trust in the brand, some because the chance that the products might cause hair loss is just too big a risk to take. But for others, it has been a slow accumulation of issues that have eroded the connection Mielle used to have with its customers. So let me know what you think in the comments. Is Mielle to blame? Are you avoiding the brand now if you used them before? Or do you think everything's just been blown way out of proportion?